Uh, Unfortunately, I don't own any tuning forks, and I didn't go into campus today to grab a tuning fork. But you can imagine hitting a tuning fork, and most people don't think about it, but because a lot of people have heard tuning forks or whatever. But if you listen to a tuning fork, you can hear it if it's up by your ear, but the person on the other side of the room isn't going to hear it as well, because again, the tines are really, really small. But this is a demo I do in class. I take the tuning fork, I hit the tuning fork, and I put the end of the tuning fork, the stem of the tuning fork, on the guitar, on the bridge, I put it on the wall, put it on a table, anywhere, right? The vibration of the tuning fork, which has been set by whoever made the tuning fork, very precisely tuned, is transmitted into whatever I put it on. And then that vibrates at that frequency that the tuning fork is driving it at. But you can hear it because the surface area of whatever I put it on is much bigger than the surface area of the tines of the fork. So, I do this in class, and when I put it on the wall, I say, okay, here's my tuning fork. It's 261.3 hertz, perfect middle C. Do you think that the people that the university contracted to build this wall, tuned this wall so that I would be able to play this C on here? Well, no, it's not. It's not that is tuned to resonate at C. It will vibrate to a small degree, very, very small degree, at any frequency that we shake it with. But it has a large enough surface area that's very, very small vibration, it causes a larger sound wave. And really what happens is it's at the, energy is still conserved, right? So you get more sound, louder sound, but it actually dampens away quicker. Mm-hmm. So if the conditions for take the tuning fork, for example. I hit the tuning fork and I just hold it. It rings for a really, 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 really long time. But now if I hit it with the same amplitude, so it's initially, same condition, put it on the wall, it's louder, but it goes away a lot quicker. Because, it's energy is conserved. You haven't created more energy because you've got louder, but, so it had to, the energy was used at the expense of making it louder. It goes away quicker. So
that kind of explains why, you could have a different sound, even if you just had, on a guitar with a different type of varnish. You could.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly right. That's. And this is a issue in musical acoustics, and for almost every type of instrument is you talk about ideal cases or whatever, and you make it's like I was saying with the wood, you make two identical violins, right? But how identical is the grain in those violins? They just can't be, So it's impossible to get two identical pieces of instrument if you're going to use natural products. If you use composite material, well, that's a whole different animal. But then you've totally gone away from this sort of thing. There's issues here with which way the grain goes. Because they had different vibrational characteristics, cross grain as opposed to along the grain. So, and of course, this is not a solid top guitar, but the principle is still there. So, if you go to a composite material to make your top plate or make your entire body, really, you've gone away from that anisotropic material. You've got a isotropic material that is going to vibrate in a different way than even if the shape is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. So if you took a Stradivarius and had a perfect 3D image of it inside and out, and then cast it out of a resin or something, that even something that when it hardens it vibrates really well, it's going to sound different than that Stradivarius because of the different the isotropic versus anisotropic along with all the other different material properties. But yeah.
There was a really interesting movie on Netflix about Steinway pianos.
Oh yeah?
Yes. Do you have Netflix?
No, I have Blockbuster.
They might have it too.
They might.
But it was really interesting, and they had, this was the main Steinway factory in New York, and they had professional pianists coming in and trying out pianos before concerts, and they'd sit down and they'd play like 2 notes, and then play 2 more notes on the next one, move on to the next one. And I'm going, I don't hear anything different.
Yeah.
But they're looking for something really, really specific.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting. So I'll find out what it's called.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. And of course, the sound will sound a lot different in a concert hall, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if if the performers are looking at more of the action than
Could be.
than the sound. But yeah, that's the Steinway factory. Last I checked, was still open for tours.
Oh, really?
But they have very limited. Well, first of all, they have very limited space.
Yeah.
But they also have very limited dates within the calendar that you can do it, because it's in is it in Brooklyn or is it in I think
so,
it's in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And it's in the original building.
Yeah.
And apparently they're still using the original elevators with just upgraded motors or whatever. But they're using these elevators to move the grand pianos from one floor to the next to get to the next process or whatever. But the heating and cooling has almost never been updated. So there are dates in the summer that they don't give tours because it's too hot.
Yeah.
And then there are dates in the winter that they don't give tours because it's too cold. And I think they are actually still operating. They don't shut down, but they just don't do tours because of the weather. And it irritated me because I've only been in New York in the summer, the hottest weeks in the summer. So it was totally out. But yeah, that's cool. I'd love to check out that movie.
What it is.
So I don't know. I mean, this is not I guess my point with my cigar box guitar was, I didn't not finish it because I didn't want to, or I got lazy or whatever. I didn't realize that the dealing with the action would sort of take as much as I thought it would. Up until that point, it went really fast, but I also didn't. The reason I got the action was because of specific design choices that I was going for that in terms of the acoustics. I think I had told you I was trying to go for the sitar-like sound, and I lost it. It actually did. It did kind of work. If I crank it up again, I gotta. No. Well, they're kind of.
A little bit. Maybe you have a rounder bridge. That's pretty good.
Yeah, when I put this nut on, I actually thought it was pretty clever that I put it on on an angle.
Because you got just the point.
Yeah, exactly. And then my high action came back and bit me because for this string the nut is still too low.
Yeah.
I was like, but I'm gonna lower the bridge and it'll be fine. So bridge is not fixed. So you guys want to see what we got?
Yeah.
Go ahead.